Okay, so today we are going to run a basic combat in the Magitech Chronicles. I talked about it before. There's a video on this channel where you can look at the rules themselves and get a feel for how it works, which is great. I think it's worth it, but those videos are boring. This is action. This is showing you how an actual combat is run. And so as the GM, I'm using the Roll20 platform, which is tremendously useful, and you're going to see a lot of on this channel. It's how I play with my current campaign. We've got 2 people in Europe, people scattered all over the United States. You can play with anybody globally, and it is enormously fun. It's a great platform, so you'll see me use it. And I'm not going to explain the platform here. You'll get other videos on the channel that'll teach you how to run Roll20 games. Anyway, let's run the Magitech Chronicles. So our first step in combat is rolling initiative. And this lasts for the entire fight. So you can see that 4 out of my 5 characters have already rolled their initiative and established their order. The last one who has not done so is Edrin here. So if I was the player of Edrin, I would open my character sheet, and you have to select your mini first, but I would click initiative, and if the GM is giving me any sort of bonus, I'd put it in here, and you can see added it to the list. I've now sorted the list, although it seems to be bad at sorting. So you can see we now have an initiative order, and then I'm just going to start with these characters, and we're going to walk through what each of their actions would be. All characters have 2 actions. They can use those to move, they can use those to attack, cast spells, activate objects, drink potions. There's all sorts of things they can do, but they only have 2 actions and they have to use them intelligently. And before I wander away from the screen, totally unrelated to combat, here's Edrin's backstory. The image that you are seeing is copyright for Warhammer 40K for Games Workshop. But he used it because he thought it was a good representation. Anyway, here's his background if you're curious. I do love that Roll20 allows you to input that kind of data. So anyway, Edrin is going first. He decides that he sees a threatening ice elemental and a threatening polar bear that are lumbering towards them. They are trying to sneak their way into a catalyst. They are on the body of Hotep, a gigantic undead water elemental. They're trying to make it to the brain chakra where they would like to get their fill of magic. To get there, they have to get past a lot of the servants and primals of this dead god. And so Edrin, seeing this threat, has to make a decision. Does he run and get to cover, or does he attack? Running to cover will cost an action. It'll mean that he's not doing as much damage, but Edrin is a cautious character, and so what he'd do maybe is bolt over to here. So you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Edrin's speed, if we get his character sheet up here, his movement is 8. So he could have gone twice as far, but he only needs to move 4. And the reason why he stopped at exactly this location is he's now considered to be in cover. He's peeking around the corner here, and that's going to give him +2 dodge. So if either of these 2 characters try to target him, he's much, much harder to hit now. So that was on 12. He used one of his actions to move into cover. He still has a second action, so he decides he's going to fire. He decides that the ice elemental maybe is the more dangerous of the 2 opponents, and so he's going to start there with his weapon. So if we go back to his character sheet, you can see, I'm looking to see what he's using for a weapon. He just got air magic, so he can use lightning, and that is a possibility. Okay, so you can see here we've got our stats for the Mark 7 spell rifle, and he has an option. He can either fire a spell, and that's what he's going to do in this case, or he can fire a physical round, like an explosive round. So in this case, he's going to channel a lightning bolt. The base damage for that is 3, plus the spell. In this case, that's 3, so 6 base damage. And you'll see how accuracy plays in. And the beauty of the system is that with the character sheets in Roll20, it all self-calculates. So all I have to do when I roll a ranged attack is hit this button here. Does the GM give me any bonus dice? Let's say Edrin was super funny and he described his action and the GM awards him 2 favor dice. You can see if we close this character sheet and go over to the chat box that it performed the roll, and we have 4 successes. So in the Magitech Chronicles, when you're firing against somebody, you're choosing a defense. In this case, it's dodge. We have to compare this 4 successes against the creature's dodge. So what does this creature have for a dodge? In this case, it's a a slow lumbering elemental. It only has a 2 dodge. And so Edrin hit, and because he succeeded by 2 extra successes, those are going to translate into damage. So our base damage was 6. He has 2 extra successes. That's 8. And you can see that's going to affect the creature's hit points and reduce it by 8. I'm not going to track the math on this character because I think it's immaterial, but we'll keep a running total of his life, so -8. We drop to the next person in the initiative pass. That's Daito, and he's going to make an attack as well. Now, if you're wondering why they're just getting to go when these 2 creatures are not, there is a rule where if you sneak up on somebody, you get the drop. And if you get the drop, you get a free round of initiative before they get to go. So our party has gotten the drop, and they're getting to run into cover and take some shots. Daito just got himself a brand new lightning-infused katana and is eager to use it. He sees that a target has already been chosen, and so he chooses to engage the same target. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movement. Let's see what Daito's movement is. So I'll scroll through Daito's background in case there's anybody curious who wants to read it. You can pause the video and do that. But Daito, his movement is 10. So he's nice and speedy, gets up there easily, and decides to make a melee attack. So he's going to take a slash at that creature. He said something witty, but not terribly witty, so I only gave him 1 favor die, let's say. And the input value you see in the second box is if you have edge, you can plug it in there, and that'll give you 2 extra successes. So Daito takes a swing. Let's see how he did. He got 3 successes. So he's moved up here for his first action. Then he takes a swing at the ice elemental, which has already been damaged. Let's put his hit points in there. So an ice elemental has, let's see, 52 hit points for this particular one, 52, and we've already reduced it by 8, so we're down to 44. Okay. If I want the players to be able to see this information, I can check it here, so that now they'll be able to see the hit points. So they're seeing, exactly the same thing I can. You've got this little life bar, and so they know how wounded it is. You don't have to let them see that information, but if you want to show that in your games, you can. And for the purpose of our example here, it's really useful. So that was Daito on 11. He's taken a very aggressive position, is now probably going to be their primary target, depending on what other people do. Kaya is wearing a nice suit of spell armor. She is a healer, and she's got great defenses, low hit points, but great defenses, and can heal, so she likes to be in a place where she can do that. She would probably cast her defensive ward for her first action, and then nobody on her side is wounded, so she'd move to cover. So she would join Edrin in cover over there and crouch down. So both of them now are sort of cowering behind it, and trying to prevent being shot. So it's harder to hit both of them. Okay, we've got Anzu on 7. So Anzu is a war mage. He uses a pair of daggers to really just cut things down. And he would do what he does best. So he rushes into combat with Daito. Probably wants to flank the creature, so he runs wide and gets behind it. Now what that's going to do is give him edge. So he's going to get +2 successes to whatever he rolls. And you'll see me actually factor that in. And it'll also apply to Edrin when he attacks too. So we'll open up Anzu's character sheet. He has not had a chance to put a background in because he just created the character. I'm not sure where he got the artwork, but I will credit that if I can find it. Okay, so you can see we've got Anzu's base stats. Again, he just came in, so this is still a little bit bare bones, but the player will, I'm sure, add a lot more to it soon. He's going to go ahead and take a melee swing at our buddy here. So bonus dice, let's say I didn't give him anything, he just said I'm attacking, so you don't get any favor dice. But because he's got flanking, he is going to get edge, which is going to give him 2 successes. So if we come back to our roll here, you can see we have a total of 5. So he gets 2 free successes because he has edge, and then he got 3 more from the roll for a total of 5. This character, unfortunately, the Ice Elemental, is very sturdy and really strong against brace, which is the attack that you do in melee. So normally that would be a huge problem. It's got a 5 brace. However, War Mages have an ability called Devastating Strike. And Devastating Strike allows you to pick between the character's Brace and Skepticism, whichever is lower. And in this case, the Ice Elemental has a 5 Brace, but only a 3 Skepticism, and so that's what Anzu chooses to go against, the Skepticism. He gets 2 extra successes. Let's see what his base damage is. Okay, so he's probably going to channel a Lightning Bolt. So 3 base damage. The dagger is 4 base. Okay, so total of 7 damage. He rolled 2 extra successes, so 9 total damage. So we're reducing the creature's hit points by 9. Oops, not going to reduce it to 9. We're going to reduce it by 9, so it's down to 35. And this creature also has a +2 difficulty to its next action. So when it gets to go during the next round, it's going to suffer penalties and need more successes to succeed because it's got electricity racing through its body. Okay, we've got Zoe. Zoe is a captain character. She's basically a fighter pilot, so she's less martially inclined than some of her companions, but she does carry a gun. So she rushes up into melee to join Daito. That's what she would do. She would totally support his attack. Doesn't want to be standing in melee directly. Wants to stand back here so she can shoot, but also doesn't want to be the primary target for this bear. So, where are you, Zoe? Okay. Zoe's going to go ahead and make a ranged attack. Let's see. What are you using, Zoe? Okay, looking through Zoe's stats to find what she's using. Aha, she's got a Mark 9 laser pistol. Anything else here? No, so she's using her last pistol. So it's 5 base physical damage and 2 accuracy. So we roll a ranged attack. She's got 2 accuracy, so I'm going to give her 2 bonus dice for the accuracy. She does not have edge. And if you recall, her base damage is 5. She's rolled 3 successes to hit. We know that this thing has a bad dodge. It's only got a 2 dodge, so she got 1 extra success. That's 6 damage total. And that's going to reduce the creature's life total. In this instance, let's see, what was she using for a damage type? A las pistol, so it's fire. So this thing's not going to get armor against the attack, and it takes the full damage. It being ice, not enjoying being shot by lasers. Okay, so our party's now had their surprise round. They've rushed through, they've done a little bit of damage, they've gotten into acceptable combat positions where they feel safe, but now it's time for their opponents to go. So what we're going to do is insert them at the top of the order. Normally you'd roll their initiative and they'd be placed somewhere in there, but I'm just going to say they rolled high. So we'll start with the polar bear. He's very angry that his buddy is being attacked, and so he's going to step over here and take a swipe at Trevor. So what you can do, if you have not input the stats for a given creature, is just roll them. So I'm sure this sounds like thunder. Roll. Okay, so I had it roll 12d6 greater than 4, which means that its melee attack is a mastery, because bears are good at mauling things. I got 8 successes. Trevor has a 4 brace, so that's 4 over. And so Trevor takes a big maul from this creature. It only gets 1 attack because it moved over to get to him and spent the second action 4 movement. So the polar bear is done. The elemental has some tough decisions to make. Decides, okay, I'm going to do a frost attack because it may get my assailants off of me. And so it unleashes a cone of cold. All right, and he unleashes the cone of cold and hits both Daito and Zoe. So the 2 of them are going to take the damage from it. So let's go ahead and do his roll for that. This is going to go against their skepticism. This is the big hurrah. This creature can only do this once a day. But it does it, and it does it well. So it rolls 11 successes against their skepticism. Both of them, I believe, have a 3 skepticism. And so it's 8 successes past it. So they take 8 cold damage plus the initial 10 that the breath does, and both of them take 18. So they're frozen and shattering and have taken a tremendous amount of damage. And now it comes around to their turn. So Daito and Zoe are both hurting, especially Daito. He's taken the mauling from the bear, and he's also taken the frost breath from the ice elemental. And so they're going to have some choices to make. Now Edrin goes first, and he decides that he's going to try and finish off the ice elemental. He just takes 2 shots at it from range. So we're going to roll 2 ranged attacks from Edrin. His rifle has 2 bonus dice, which I was not giving him before. Okay, I'm going to roll the second one. So I haven't even looked to see what it is yet, but I'm going to roll the second one so they're both there. And we can look at the results. Okay, so we'll have 2 attacks coming through, and you can see 7 successes, 9 successes. So only a 2 dodge, so it's 5 over and 7 over. His defenses, Edrin is... What are you firing, Edrin? Oops. Okay, so Edrin takes his shot, rolls 7 successes on the first, 9 successes on the second, against a 2 dodge. So that's 5 successes over, and then you can do this, Chris, 7 successes over. So on the 5 successes over, our base damage is 6, so he's taking 11, and then he's going to take 13. So a total of 24. That's going to knock him down to 5. So the elemental is very nearly dead and hasn't really gotten to do much beyond a single breath attack. Okay, that was Edrin. So then Daito gets to go. Daito decides he's going to finish this thing off, and so he launches a vicious melee attack. Because Daito is excellent at describing things, I give him a couple of extra dice. So he's got accuracy dice, he's got description dice for favor, and he's got edge because this creature is flanked. Not good for this creature. He gets 8 successes against that 5 brace, and so that's 3 over. His base damage, let's take a look here. Oh, that's right, he's also channeling lightning, so it's lightning damage. And so we're not going to get any armor against that. So it is a base 3 plus the spell is 6. And he rolled, I've already forgotten how much over he rolled. He rolled 3 over, so 9 total damage, and this thing's only got 5 hit points left, so that's going to put it at -4, taking it out of the fight. And so what I can do is either, put a red X over it, but I tend to like to delete things when they die, only because it makes the map less cluttered, and we can remember for loot purposes at the end. So you see this thing is now dead. Daito has spent his first action killing it, but still has a second action, and he has a bear in melee with him, and so he turns and he swipes at the bear. His accuracy dice, he doesn't do a good description for this attack, doesn't have edge, so he's not swinging with nearly as much ferocity, but he rolls really well, and he gets 8 successes again. The bear has a 4 brace, so that's 4 over, and so Daito does, let's see... 10 air damage and gives the bear a penalty for its next action. So the bear, we'll say, has 45 hit points. Now it has 35. And so on and so forth. So I'm not going to go through the rest of the combat. You guys are going to watch them whip down this bear. This is action economy. In action, really, you're seeing it. Where if you've got 5 players and you've only got 2 enemies, then they're going to cut them down quickly. If it's 5 on 5 or 5 on 10, it's a different story. But having a bunch of weak creatures can oftentimes be a bigger threat to players than having 1 or 2 large creatures, because if you send some big dragon against them, they'll tend to overwhelm it. They just get so many more attacks, and they have so many buffs and debuffs. Anyway, when I run this actual combat for them, you'll see there's a lot more stuff coming in. It'll be many more threats, and there's more stuff that's not even on the map yet. So when I actually run this combat, it'll be a little different. But this hopefully gives you an idea of how combat can be run in the Magitech Chronicles. We will have similar videos coming for every other topic, including spellcasting and character creation, if those are needed as well. So if this is useful, please let me know in the comments. Let me know what other content you need, and I will get it out for you. All right, guys, I'm going to get back to the writing, and I'll see you next week.